Well, it is great to have a visit from the Shark Man, making his DC visits. Thank you for being here.
You're welcome. Thank you. Want to talk to you about some disturbing news coming out of the Middle East. Fatah and Hamas are hooking up. Can you speak to that? How do you feel about that?
Well, we're very worried about this unity government. Hamas, a terrorist organization, and Fatah, a so-called moderate Palestinian party that really has not been a good partner for peace for Israel anyway. Now, in order to get labeled as a state, even though they don't deserve it, they're forming this unity government, which means that Hamas will totally take over the Fatah organization. And they're going to go to the UN in just a few weeks and request statehood. In fact, several Central and South American countries have already passed resolutions recognizing the Palestinian state. Even though they haven't made peace with Israel, they haven't abided by any of the accords that they've signed. And what I'm worried about is not only the creation of this unity government, not only the sanctioning of this government by the UN, making this so-called unity government a legitimate state, which lacks all legitimacy, but also U.S. taxpayer dollars go to the Palestinian Authority now. According to the U.S. law that I authored, we passed it into law, it says that we cannot give money to the Palestinians unless they recognize the democratic Jewish state of Israel, and they will never do that with the Hamas in this unity government. They will abide by all previous agreements. They will enter into peace accords with Israel, and they will renounce all violence and extremism. So, according to U.S. law, we cannot recognize this unity government, and U.S. money cannot go to this unity government. But I don't know if we can have the Obama administration do the right thing, because already they had vetoed a very biased anti-Israel resolution in the UN. And when Ambassador Susan Rice did so, she vetoed it, saying it was lamentable and regrettable that she had to veto it. Well, that sends a pretty clear message to the Palestinians that the U.S. Can be bullied about. And this unity government has already gotten recognition from certain of our hemispheric neighbors. And their next step is to get UN recognition. And then the next step will be our U.S. taxpayer dollars funding this terrorist organization. So we've got to do everything within our power to first make sure that unity declaration is vetoed by the U.S. in the UN, and secondly, make sure that no U.S. funds go to this unity government.
So basically, you don't agree that Palestine should be their own sovereign state?
I believe that we should have a two-state solution. I believe that Israel is doing everything that it can to have a partner for peace with the Palestinians, but the Palestinians have not shown good faith in trying to negotiate this peace accord and try to get to a two-state solution. I believe that Israel wants it, and certain elements of the Palestinian community want it as well, but they have been failed by their leaders. That leadership of the Palestinian Authority or Fatah or Hamas or whatever you want to call it has failed the Palestinian people because they want peace also. But the leadership is content with making sure that they can stay in power, even if that means making a pact with a terrorist organization. Hamas ran the PA out of Gaza, and now it's going to take over the West Bank. So it's very troubling what's going on for Israel in that very troubled region.
Why do you think the Obama administration is acting or reacting to this the way they are?
Well, we will soon see whether the Obama administration has finally woken up thanks to the strong grassroots activism of our pro-Israel, pro-peace groups in our community, because Netanyahu had been treated very shabbily by this administration. But the grassroots organizations, they got together and they've been lobbying President Obama for a long time, since Netanyahu was left there alone in the White House to fend for himself. And now the Obama administration has put forth many more positive statements, not bullying Israel as it had been about settlements, as if an apartment building was an impediment to real peace. It's the Palestinians who keep putting stumbling block after stumbling block. Now Netanyahu comes in just a few days, and I believe that the tone is going to be more hospitable for Netanyahu, but it remains to be seen whether the policies of the United States will change or whether we'll just be throwing a nicer party. We're not interested in a nicer party and a nicer reception. We're interested in the policy and the real substance of what the U.S. is going to do with maintaining strong ties with the Palestinian and with the Palestinian and Israeli relationship to make sure that we can continue to talk for a two-state solution, but making it clear to the Palestinian Authority that this unity government is a non-starter, and that we will withhold aid, we will withhold recognition, and that we will actively lobby in the United Nations to make sure that that resolution is defeated. But as of now, there's been no word from the Obama White House that they're willing to stand up for Israel, stand up for the U.S.-Israel-Palestinian relationship.